Welcome to the Aesthetics Injector Gang podcast. Having a gang of mentors in this industry has been a blessing that we wanted to share with you. Our core group has been traveling together and comparing notes about life and business for years. Tune in as we delve into topics with others in the industry that you are sure to love and make you laugh.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Aesthetics Injector Gang podcast. On today's episode, we have myself, Ashley Carmen, at Botox and Bourbon on Instagram. I'm the owner and founder and all the things of Ayana Atelier in Old Town Alexandria, as well as a second location in Middleburg, Virginia. And I am on today's episode with Brandy Gregg, the owner of Mint and Needle in Delaware, with her two locations. We have her in Middletown, Delaware, and also in Lewis Beach, Delaware. So today, you've met us both before, so I'm going to kind of skip a little bit of our backstories, other than the fact that we are aesthetic injectors and business owners and rabid entrepreneurs. But the other side of us is a side that I think a lot of people don't get to see too much of us. So you and I both are incredibly charitable and have a very giving heart and are kind of on a main life mission to leave this world a little bit better than we found it and to give back to a lot of things that have really helped us in life. And we do so through a lot of different ways. So today we're going to talk to you about our experience running a 501(c) and highlighting Brandy's massive passion project that, I'm going to let her tell you all about it, but it is Empowerment Beyond Scars. So Brandy, you're up. Let's hear you. Tell us about all things Empowerment Beyond Scars.
All things. I laugh because you gave a little bit of our background and you're like avid entrepreneur. And I was like, I thought you were going with like avid espresso martini drinker and old fashioned drinker. So that's where I was going with it, but I think much more professional. So mad props.
Hey, thanks. I'm trying on this. Let's see. We are recording this at, 7:00 at night, after the end of a very busy day. And I sprinted here to record it with you. I'm in my Pilates era right now. So I was like running off the reformer. I'm still a little bit sweaty. I think I'm also officially ready for the Hunger Games after tonight's reformer. So, there it is. So I'm trying to get very gorgeous for your big gala coming up. I need a Pilates. What is it? Pilates booty? Pilates body, back,
body, booty,
arms.
leg,
I don't know.
Everything. It works everything.
All the things.
Can we also add in there that we clearly have major ADD?
And for sure.
I feel like from the whole season, they're going to have to pull out all of our ADD moments, and we should make like a montage of ADD and staying off topic. So we're going to try.
Do you think I wonder if we'll end up, I just rewatched How I Met Your Mother, and there was this one episode where they made like Robin, who was like a newscaster, and she had this speech thing that she did when she was nervous when she was talking, and these college kids made it into a drinking game. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope that never becomes us. With like, how many times do they change subject during a podcast? I'm like, you should hear us talk in real life, because it really is, it is a ping pong ball of topics. And I feel like people are always like, wait, what were we actually talking about originally? So
we always follow back.
We do. Yeah, we do.
I don't know how.
I don't know. We do circle back. I think we have a massive need to complete things also. Yeah. I think that might go with the ADHD. I'm not really sure, but let's bring it back. How about Empowerment Beyond Scars?
Somebody had. So now we're going to bring it circling back to Empowerment Beyond Scars.
Yes. And thank you for following along.
So for starters, Empowerment Beyond Scars, we're a nonprofit, a formalized nonprofit that is focused on dedicating to survivors of domestic violence with aesthetic medical treatments that aim to erase the physical manifestations of their trauma. So the purpose of the nonprofit is really to help essentially take these external reminders like scars, bruises, and visible marks of abuse, and empowering the individuals by reducing those through lasers and treatments pro bono in order for them to kind of regain their power back, because a lot of times we're so much focused on that internal impact, but the problem with abuse that a lot of people don't realize is the external is that constant reminder. So even if you've been working a lot on the internal kind of reclaiming of that power, you still have the physical manifestation that's that constant trigger. So what we've done is we've partnered within the state of Delaware, and we plan to grow this out to other states, but we're starting in the state of Delaware, and we're partnering with other nonprofits and agencies that are really focusing on the internal, so we can then provide the external work on domestic violence survivors. So we have our first inaugural gala at Hotel de Carmen.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah. I'm so proud. I'm just going to interrupt really quick. Probably not the first time, but I am so proud of you for finally getting this off of the ground. I feel like, in case you guys did miss how Brandy and I met, we have been friends for an incredibly long time at this point. And I have been hearing the back end of this true labor of love for a number of years. And it is incredibly hard to, one, run a business and keep your business afloat and run a successful business and be a trainer and be a mentor and be a leader, like in your office space. So then to have to do all of that again with something that is such a passion project, like it's another full-time job. And I think people oftentimes don't get that. So and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I am just really so proud of you. As you start telling us about the gala, I'm smiling from ear to ear, and my heart is so full that this night is finally coming to be, because I feel like it has been years coming. But yeah, so tell us about the gala.
So the gala is on September 13th, and it's a black and white themed, and really we want it to be a party and fun and to celebrate the reclaiming of these lives. And so although this is a very dark topic, we want to use it as a celebration of reclaiming their power. And the gala is raising money so that way we can actually start providing treatments to these survivors. And so what we're going to do is just have a couple speakers for about 15 minutes, and then we're just going to go into have a really good party. There's going to be a live band. It's at such a beautiful historic building, and we're going to have silent auction. We're going to, of course, have bourbon tasting, because let's be real, the gang is not involved if there's no bourbon. But gosh, I just can't believe it's here, because what I didn't realize is for over 10 years, I've wanted to do something in this space, and this is my passion space. I have personal experience as a survivor, but that's not really the main focus of it. It's just I've worked for so many years with those who have survived domestic violence that I wanted to take my skill set and my passion and marry them, and that's what is doing. I mean, I do aesthetic procedures. I'm an injector. I can help them on that and do it pro bono. But at the same time, it's such a passion. But you don't realize that when you hear nonprofit or you hear about these galas, you don't realize what actually goes in. We had to cancel our first one, and that was a very humbling experience.
I remember that weekend. Yes.
Yeah. And I cried, and I was we weren't ready. We weren't ready. And, the entrepreneur me and you were always just, go, 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 go. And sometimes if something's not ready, you just have to put the brakes, because you only get one shot for that first impression and to really get your mission out there. So we really needed to perfect everything. And now we did it. And it's been a really interesting journey, because everybody on the board, myself included, are all working for free. Nobody is getting paid to do this. So
I think that's what people don't realize. If you want to just start a nonprofit, you're like, okay, I have this great idea. I'm going to start a nonprofit. Well, a true nonprofit, if you're talking about any kind of money involved at all, I don't know what the IRS one is. You may know, but I think it's kind of low for money fundraising. But if you're going to be any kind of formal, true 501(c) that is making money, you don't want to be profitable, right? Because that's not the point, but you do need to keep it afloat, right? You're talking about providing these very expensive procedures and, some pretty epically large ticket items for survivors, and it's what they need. And I'm thinking nose jobs and eye repairs, dental repairs, veneers, these things are very expensive, right? So if you are forming something that is going to be handling any type of money really, you do have to have like that formalized board, and you need like articles of incorporation. You need all of these things, and you need a full board that's like committed. Like you have to have meetings, and it's not a unilateral decision because it's your nonprofit. You're like, hold on, let me ask the board. And so you need those people that are really like in your corner to say, that all have like the same passion and the same vision that you do too, where it's not just like, I don't know, kind of this like, oh yeah, sure, that sounds like a great idea. It's like, no, this is like really, this is a big thing. And all of your board is they're all incredibly successful people working a zillion hours with families and everything. And even like your website, right? So Epic Marketing Consulting is sponsoring the episode today, but they have it full blown donated the time to build out the website, to do your social media. And like, that's so huge.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting because I did not realize back prior to this, you're like, oh, a $5 donation, that's nothing, right? But then when you start adding up everybody doing $5 donations or trying to do things like throw an event,
Absolutely.
money has to come from somewhere, or
Yep.
website development or marketing. All of these things have to come from either donations fiscally or financially, or a person providing a service at a pro bono basis, because there's no money there. And so if you want
Right.
to help these end people, so for my nonprofit being domestic violence survivors, well, you have money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does not. In fact, I have not figured out how to get it to fall from the sky yet.
I know.
We keep trying, but it's just,
Where's
we
that
are
money?
not there.
We're not there yet. It's going to be an evergreen tree somewhere that makes money. I'm trying to find it, but I haven't found it. Neither has the nonprofit.
No, neither is
But
anybody in the gang. The whole gang's
yeah,
looking. We're not successful yet, but
the gang's looking. But like
they,
with Epic, they came on before anybody, and
Mhm.
to really help us with that website, because we're so internally grateful for that, because without the website, you don't have the messaging. Without the messaging, you don't have the donations. Without the donations, you don't have the capital in order to treat the patients.
Yeah.
And so I did not realize, I did not realize that in starting a nonprofit, honestly, I'd restart 2 businesses
Hmm.
before thinking about doing a nonprofit, unless I was so passionate about it, because the time
Yeah.
commitment, energy is more than building a business.
Absolutely. Ryan and I my husband and I ran one for, oh my gosh, 13 years, I think it was. And we finally had to hang up the hat with it, because it's hard when you're asking people to donate time and resources. And you're like, eventually it kind of, for it to be successful and continue on, you do need that commitment, and you need the donation, you need the help, you need all of these things, and you need it consistently. And I think that's the hard thing. Like the first year is always like this, like, let's blow it out of the water. But then you're like, okay, wait, now we have to keep doing it. And you're like, okay, so I love that all of you gave several hundred hours of your time in 2023 and 2024, but let's do it again. And we're going to do it every year for like eternity. How does that sound? And they're like, and it's like the Peter Griffin, like, let me just like back away into like the ferns or whatever it was, a little like brush line. But yeah, I think it's really hard. And it's hard to, I think you and I personally, outside of the podcast, have touched on this a lot. It's really hard to ask for help. And it's really, even though it is for like such an amazing mission, and the work is so needed. And I think everybody I've never met anybody who's not affected in some way, shape, or form by domestic violence. Right.
Mhm.
And it is, it doesn't have to be like truly in that like primary circle of people. Like it may not be like, oh, my best friend, da, da, da. It could be, oh, my sister's, third cousin or something. It's like everybody has some kind of like experience with it. And it's a hard thing to talk about, right? It's a hard thing to like, in general, just casually bring up in conversation. And then I think it's a hard thing to ask people to get involved with too. And
Mhm.
then it's also, on top of that, it's very hard to just ask for help in general. I'm like, hey, I'm like that person that's like, hey, let me get like all my groceries in one trip because I don't want to ask for help. And you're talking about like taking it the whole other end of the extremes where it's like, hey, so yeah, about that couple hundred hours that you probably have laying around in your life, do you think I could like tap into that? And also, can you give me a free service while you're at it? Because I'm trying to run this foundation. So it gets really challenging, I think. And I think it is that back end that a lot of people they don't see and they don't think about it. I mean, it
Yeah,
is really hard.
it's so hard. For example, the president of Empowerment Beyond Scars, Gina, she has
Mm-hmm.
worked countless hours, and she obviously has a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
She also has a family. She also
Yeah.
has all the other things. And I mean, the amount of hours that she's put in, with me
Yeah.
it's almost another full-time job on both ends because we're starting it from the ground up.
Yeah.
And taking it from the idea to the implementation phase to now fundraising to then this gala will
Yeah.
be that next kind of pivotal point, because then after that we can start treating, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be the next phase. And then the next more difficult phase, like you said, and from your experiences with nonprofits, well, now we need to keep fundraising.
Now it's year two. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
there too. So now there's how do we do all these fundraisings? And
Mm-hmm.
but when you're passionate about something, just like, for example, I take it back to when I started Mint and Needle, or when you started,
Yeah.
and when we started our practices, we had such a passion that failure wasn't an option.
Yeah.
And no matter what, we were going to do it and make it work
Yeah.
because we were passionate about it. So
Yeah.
I'm taking that same passion to nonprofit, but it's definitely a lot more challenging than it was to create Mint and Needle.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about the gala. We mentioned it was at Hotel DuPont, and it is a
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful historic building.
Oh,
Do I think we agree it's like the prettiest in Delaware? Yeah,
oh yeah, it's
yeah,
stunning.
yeah.
It is stunning.
So, and I know that they have worked like just at exhaustion with you guys trying to get this to work and have really helped out with, the rooms and the food and beverage and the catering part of it. Cause, galas, they're kind of like throwing a great big old wedding, but
Mhm.
like nobody's really RSVPing yes or no. You're just kind of like, do I think I need dinner for 400 people, but it might be 20. Um, and I feel like Hotel DuPont has been really, really wonderful. So, Hotel DuPont, if you guys are listening, thank you.
Mhm.
And then what did we say the date? I don't think we've set the date.
September 13th,
Okay.
2024. So it's a Friday evening, fun date night.
Yes.
Very, very fun date night. And it's black and white cocktail theme.
Mm-hmm.
And the gang will all be in black.
The gang will all be in black. Oh, that answers my question that I think I texted you this morning. I'm like, what
Yeah,
color am I wearing?
you're wearing
Yes.
letting you know on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for this update. Styles, I hope you're listening. Yeah.
Yes, again, I hope you're listening. We've all it's black. So yep.
Perfect. Husband's next question is going to be, can he wear sneakers?
Are they black?
They can be. Yeah. Yeah.
As long as he doesn't wear his Crocs.
Oh gosh,
I draw
no.
the line.
Those are not allowed out of the house. You know that.
I
No.
can see him being like, but what if I wear my black Crocs?
I know. He'll be like, I'll put him in sport mode. No, he's so funny. Anyway, we can maybe cut that.
We could go hours on him.
We could. Gosh, don't we love him though? He kind of unfortunately became the husband for all of us.
Yes, he did.
He does a great job with it. Yeah. How do you, speaking of the gang, I think the whole gang's involved, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole game. What's beautiful is, and that's one of the many things I love about the gang is whenever anybody's doing anything, we all support, and everyone has kind of rallied to help, whether it was, remember back when we were at that filming event, and I mean, you're on the phone with people that Evelyn is, people are on the gang's on the computer trying to rework website stuff and content and messaging and, trying to just all the way up to trying to make sure to promote it and on our social medias to donations and very, very generous donations to attendance coming. And so it's been, it's been such a blessing to have a group who's just there behind. And then as I move into your states, knowing
I
that you guys
can't wait.
are back and you guys
Yeah.
are able to provide services, and again, asking for the little bit of time you have
Hmm.
to help.
There's always more time. I know I can probably, I like feel as I say that Brandon rolling his eyes and being like, there is no more time.
Only thing,
Um,
because only a 15-minute block.
I know. I'm like, there'll be more time. There's always more time.
Yeah.
Um, but no, we're very excited about this project, I think, and super excited to see the growth in general. So we have the gala, right? And then what, like, I think, how's the mission actually affecting the survivors of DV? Like, where can they go? Where, like, how do they, if we have anyone listening who is a survivor, who needs resources, who needs kind of some assistance and doesn't know where to start, where can we
Mhm.
send them?
So for starters, our website, empowermentbeyondscars.org, is a website that both talks about our foundation, but we're really building this. Well, Epic is really
Yeah.
built. Let's be real, give credit where credit is due.
Yes. Thank you,
The
Epic Marketing Consulting.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Equity Marketing Consultants. But we're building out the website to be a resource across nationally, just to be a resource center for domestic violence, whether that's to find immediate emergency assistance, but then also just other resources to help. So whether you're somebody who wants to get involved and or you are a survivor yourself, we're really building out the website in order to be able to facilitate that process. And then
Hmm.
in addition to that, we also explain kind of FAQs is how does somebody who come to Empowerment Beyond Scars to get treatments, how does that look like? Because it's through a referral source through our partners. So, for example, we're working with DCAD, which is a Delaware Coalition Against Domestic Violence. We're working with Child Inc. and other partnerships, and that's listed on the website. But essentially, somebody would be referred to us, and then we would do the evaluation, and then or a partner would delineate where they need to go next. For example, if there's a missing tooth, well, we have a dental practice who has partnered with us called Dental House in Delaware. And so then we would be the ones to facilitate that handoff to have the treatment provided, as well as Empowerment Beyond Scars would be working on the transportation if somebody didn't have transportation. So that's kind of how the whole process works.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. What else do we need to know? How can people, get more involved? What do you need still, right? It is, August-ish. We're looking a couple weeks out. So I know tight timeline right now, by the time the podcast actually launches, hopefully in a couple days. But what can is there anything that you really still need for this year or need kind of ongoing other than time?
time, time and
Time.
money.
Time and money.
Uh, Time and money. So I would say if, people attending the gala being, a very beautiful experience, because one, you get to then firsthand witness and see what this mission is and who it's impacting,
Hmm.
and then and have a great time doing it. So a great time,
Hmm.
you're probably going to a great cause. So I love that part about it. But let's say you're not around and you cannot attend the gala. There's on our website, there's a donation link. Even $5 goes
Yeah.
really far to the direct outcome for patients who are survivors of domestic violence. So even go into that donation link. And then there's different ways you can donate. You can do a regular donation or a single donation. So even if it's a smaller denomination, you'd be surprised how every dollar goes and is utilized in nonprofits,
Yeah.
particularly Beyond Scars.
Yeah. And I think that, it's so unfortunate here recently. I think a lot of nonprofits have gotten such a bad rep, and it's like, oh, there's so much overhead and there's all the, like my dollar isn't going anywhere. Right. So if it is that $5 donation, right, like it's not going anywhere. It's just going to like, I don't know, it's going to the board or it's going to pay. And it's like, no, that's not it. Like when you're talking about a grassroots like this, like all of us and you and the board, it's all been volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
And so that money does go directly to the mission overall. So I think that that's really amazing. And it's incredible that you've been able to get so much support to help out with, like, those overhead things where you're not paying for a website, you're not having to do all of that. And you do have all of those people that are helping.
It takes a village.
It does take a village. Oh my gosh, it takes a village I feel like just to breathe anymore. I know this is a little bit out of order, but we're par for the course on this one. I feel like Brandon's going to be like, the title of this one is 5013C meets ADHD. So Brandon, you're welcome. So when was like the moment that you knew you wanted to start this? I think that's always the key. Do you have like that clear moment?
That's a great girl. You put me on the spot.
Sorry.
So there's not one specific moment, but what I would say is I've always been very passionate about being involved in domestic violence and providing support to survivors since I was very young, for a long time. Now, when I was in primary care as a provider, I dealt a lot with domestic violence survivors, as well as situations of, trying to give them resources when they were in it, because I was in a safe space where their abuser would not be there. So I could provide a lot of support to them and resources and hidden support, everything from giving them like a lipstick with, and taking the lipstick out and putting resource numbers in there. So that way they had something with them, or a little, a load of money to hide it and things of that nature. So I've been doing that for over 14 years. But I remember back when I was in college, this is 2006 or like 2006, 2007, my neighbor was in a very bad domestic violence situation. And I mean, when her boyfriend was off at work, I went over to her house, snuck over there. I told her to get in the car and drive back to Texas, and I will pack up her belongings and ship them to her so she could just have enough of a window to be without him. And this is back in 2006, 2007. I packed up her stuff and mailed it to her, and she got about a 4-hour head start on him. And
it's huge.
It's huge. 4-hour head start. He ended up showing up to her house with her parents, and her dad did not let that guy in. But that was a moment. I remember that specific moment where I was like, you know what? That small little act that I could do, just a couple hours of packing somebody up to get them out of the house, was so impactful for me, just because I knew that little bit of time changed the outcome of her life. And it's these little things that we can do to make a positive impact. And we don't need to make an impact to the world. We can make an impact at one person at a time. And that butterfly effect, because now that person can make an impact on somebody else. So I remember that being a monumental moment. But the actual foundation was just kind of starting from that point to then working a lot in primary care with it. And then throughout my life, doing a lot with domestic violence, to finally, when I worked in aesthetic medicine, and having some of my former primary care patients coming to me and just seeing people who had trauma, just being like, I can use my hands to actually do something. So now I was like, this is my passion of work, and I have a skill set that I can actually give back with. Let's do something with it. And that's a couple years ago, about 5 years ago is where we've been talking about it for about 5 years.
Time is of the abyss, but I think so. 5 or 6, maybe 6.
Some around there. And then it just kind of kept working on it. And what would it actually look like? Because it's easy to have these grand ideas, but you really have to niche them down in a nonprofit. Like, who are you serving? So I think that's kind of how that transition happened.
I love it. I'm a sucker for like the whole story. I need all the details. I can't just have like the bits and pieces. I'm like, I need all of it. Well, I'm very excited.
I could have been much more concise if I knew ahead of time.
Well, I got to keep your life interesting.
That's true.
It's the joy of us. Anything else that we need to discuss over anything else we need to share? I feel like I'm pretty lucky here at the moment because Renegade's he got a new lamb, the dog. I know he says hi. Your twin. He got a new stuffed lammy, but the stuffed lammy has several squeakers, and he's been just like really excited. So the fact that I've kept him quiet for 30 minutes is a blessing.
No,
But
I am giving my 20 some love, but no, I
I
would say,
will.
if people could follow us at Empowerment Beyond Scars on our
Okay.
Instagram, on our Facebook, check out our website. That's the most kind of big take homes.
Okay. Well, I know I'm super pumped for the gala, and I can't wait to see all that it brings and all that the future of Empowerment Beyond Scars brings. So, if nobody else tells you, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for all the support.
Of
Beyond
course.
support.
Of course. Anything for you. So we do want to thank also again that today's episode is brought to you by Epic Marketing Consultants in Delaware. They provide full service creative marketing and advertising, and they have been just instrumental in launching Empowerment Beyond Scars. So if you want to see a little bit of their work, check them out at empowermentbeyondscars.org. We couldn't have done it without them, right? And all of their social medias. You can follow Empowerment Beyond Scars for more details. Of course, if you are not already, what are you waiting for? Please follow the Blonde Clinician and see all of her life and some little snippets of my favorite nephew, Beethoven. And then if you care to see what goes on in my life, I'm Botox and Bourbon. So I think that is it. If you've loved everything, like, share, follow, comment, favorite, download, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you want to do. All the good things. And we'll see you all around, I guess. And thanks for listening in. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and comment. Follow us on Instagram at The Aesthetics Injector Gang.